Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're talking through some of the biggest takeaways from Mining Indaba 2026 in Cape Town, and more importantly, what they mean for businesses looking to win in Africa's mining sector.
And this year's event made one thing very clear. African mining isn't just expanding, it's restructuring. Under the theme Stronger Together, the message coming out of Indaba was that the industry is moving from ambition to execution, with firmer expectations, clearer rules, and real timelines starting to take shape.
Exactly. From Rio Tinto's partnership approach at Simandou to South Africa's push to accelerate junior exploration to a stronger regulatory drive around local beneficiation, the opportunity is still massive, but the conditions for accessing it have definitely changed.
So if you're a supplier, investor, consultant, or service provider, simply knowing what's happening isn't enough anymore. You need actionable intelligence, and that's where Africa Mining IQ.
In this episode, we're breaking down 3 defining trends from Mining Indaba 2026 and how AMIQ helps turn each one into a commercial advantage.
Let's start with what we could call the Simandou Standard of partnership.
Simandou was one of the dominant stories at Mining Indaba, and not just because of its iron ore potential. What really stood out was the delivery model behind it.
Rio Tinto and Simfer signaled that major mining projects now depend on something much bigger than technical execution. Success increasingly requires a fully aligned ecosystem. Government, communities, operators, and suppliers all working within shared governance structures and credible health, safety, environmental, and community, or HSEC, standards. In other words, the days of the mine operating in isolation are over. The new model is collaborative, transparent, and stakeholder-driven. And that has big implications for anyone trying to do business in mining. Winning work is no longer just about finding the procurement manager and sending a pitch deck.
Exactly. You need visibility across the entire project hierarchy, especially the people influencing compliance, social license, and stakeholder engagement.
That's where AMIQ's Key Personnel feature becomes incredibly useful. It gives subscribers access to verified contact details for the decision-makers that matter, including environmental officers, HSEC leaders, community liaison managers, and government compliance contacts attached to specific projects.
And those roles are increasingly the new gatekeepers. In this partnership-based model, contracts are shaped not just by cost and capability, but by whether you can align with the broader standards and priorities of the project ecosystem.
So the AMIQ advantage here is simple. It helps you identify the right people early, engage them directly, and position your business within the partnership structure before opportunities pass you by.
The second major shift from Mining Indaba 2026 is the acceleration of junior exploration in South Africa.
And this is a really important one. While large-scale capital projects are still feeling the effects of uncertainty around the Mineral and Petroleum Resources Development Enactment, or MPRDA, the junior mining space has received a very real boost.
That boost is coming from 2 sides. First, the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy has launched a more transparent licensing system. And second, Anglo American committed 600 million rand to the Junior Mining Exploration Fund.
And not funding is especially significant because it's targeting future-facing minerals, things like copper, nickel, lithium, graphite, and rare earth elements.
Which means a whole new pipeline of grassroots and pre-feasibility projects are starting to enter the market.
And in a market like this, first-mover advantage matters. The companies that identify projects early are the ones best positioned to secure work in drilling, geological consulting, early engineering, and supporting services.
This is where AMIQ gives subscribers a practical edge. It tracks projects across every stage of development, from grassroots exploration all the way through to operational mines.
That means users can filter by development stage, see estimated project values, monitor progression timelines, and spot new opportunities as they come online.
And just as importantly, AMIQ connects those projects to the people behind them. So if you're offering drilling services, geological expertise, or early works engineering, you're not just seeing that a project exists. You're able to identify and contact the decision makers responsible for moving it forward.
The platform is already tracking projects across key regions like the Bushveld Complex, the Northern Cape, and Limpopo's emerging lithium corridor.
So, rather than reacting late, businesses can engage while these projects are still forming, often before competitors even know they're there.
The third big shift is one that could reshape value chains across the continent: mandatory beneficiation.
Put simply, the old dig and ship model is under growing pressure. Governments are increasingly saying extracting raw minerals is no longer enough. They want more local processing and in-country value addition.
We're already seeing this in very concrete ways. Zimbabwe has brought forward its lithium export ban to 2026 ahead of the original 2027 deadline.
And in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the government has introduced quotas on cobalt exports after a temporary outright ban.
The message from both jurisdictions is clear. Access to export markets is becoming conditional on some level of domestic processing.
Which means mining operations are no longer just mining operations. They're increasingly evolving into integrated industrial projects with additional processing, infrastructure, engineering, and energy requirements.
And that creates a much wider field of opportunity for businesses across the mining value chain.
Exactly. If you're in engineering, construction, power, industrial services, processing solutions, and supporting infrastructure, the expansion into beneficiation can significantly increase the scope of services required on a project.
AMIQ helps businesses respond to that shift by tracking more than approximately 2,223 mining projects and mines across the continent.
That visibility is especially valuable in affected jurisdictions like Zimbabwe, where lithium, platinum, and chrome operations are under pressure to localize value addition, and the DRC, where cobalt-related developments are adapting to new export conditions.
But again, it's not just about seeing projects on a map. The real advantage is knowing who is driving them.
AMIQ provides direct access to the key personnel behind these projects, so businesses can identify the operations responding to new regulations and reach the relevant decision makers before the market becomes crowded.
So when you step back and look at the bigger picture, Mining Indaba 2026 didn't just highlight where the industry is headed.
It showed where capital is actually being deployed.
Whether it's the complex stakeholder structures behind mega projects, the rising pipeline of South African junior explorers, or the rapid industrialization of downstream processing, the opportunities are significant, but only for businesses equipped to act on them.
And that's really the difference AMIQ offers. With access to around 2,223 mining projects and mines, along with verified decision-maker contacts, it helps businesses move from passive observation to active participation.
Instead of watching the transformation of African mining from the sidelines, you're in a position to engage early, target the right opportunities, and build the right relationships.
If your goal is to secure your next big contract in Africa's mining sector, the key is having current project-level intelligence you can actually use.
With Africa Mining IQ, AMIQ, you get 24/7 access to Africa's largest mining intelligence portal, giving you the insight you need to identify opportunities, connect with the right people, and stay ahead of the competition.
To learn more, explore the Africa Mining IQ portal and see how it can support your business growth.